Even if you don't fully understand why you feel that way, but if you express it to the people that are around you, that are currently influencing you, that are in your circle currently, it exposes the people that shouldn't be there.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome to
Surrounded by Idiots
Radio Podcast.
This is Dr. Tony Dufresne welcoming you back, and I just now realized I'm wearing the same shirt as I did last week. But the good news is that I believe in the concept of intermittent washing, so we are good. This week I want to talk about regrets. I think the pandemic served as a widespread psychological experiment, and it woke up a lot of people, created a higher level of awareness in regards to how they're spending their time and the choices that they're making. And that brings me back to a show I did a long time ago, and it was about this palliative nurse, and her name was Bronnie Ware. She was in Australia, and she published a book, and the book was about all of the things that her patients who were on their deathbeds, what they regretted. And so today's show is going to be on the top 10 regrets in life by those about to die. And what she talked about in her book were 5 regrets. I'm going to add 5 more to those based upon my experience up to 56 years old and just the things that I have realized up to this point. Now, the first regret was the big one, according to Bronnie. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. The number one thing is it is number one for a reason, and it's because of courage, and it's because of living true to myself and not living based on what others expect. So there's 3 big pieces in that thing: courage, true life, and expectations. That's why that one's the biggie, and as you can see, that makes perfect sense. The number 2 thing is I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Keeping this in context, I personally think that the hadn't worked so hard is more about creating more of a life balance or a life integration with the things that are important, prioritizing with your family, with other certain experiences in your life that you would want to do, but you felt as though you had to work. Number 3 on Bronnie's list was, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. There were a lot of situations to where people did not express their feelings. They did not express how they felt about certain things or how right or wrong it was for them, and they went along with it. And in the process, there was a lot of selling your soul. There was a lot of overcompensation for things that just didn't work for them from an emotional and a mental standpoint. And the lesson learned, according to Bronnie in this, is that if you do express how you feel honestly and truly, even if you don't fully understand why you feel that way, but if you express it to the people that are around you, that are currently influencing you, that are in your circle currently, it exposes the people that shouldn't be there. You can find out which crabs are still pulling you back into the bucket. And in that process of you being honest and expressing your honesty and your feelings, you will create the circle of trust that works for you. And it may be a completely different circle with a completely different group of people than who you grew up with or who your family is. Number 4 is, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. As we will surmise at the end of this, friendship, relationships, the depth of which, that's the life force. Number 5 is, I wish I had let myself be happier. Happiness is a choice. It's a mindset. It's a mindset of gratitude. It's a mindset of fulfillment. It's a mindset of looking at things as they are, accepting things as they are, working with things as they are. When they were in a bed, debilitated and counting the last days of their life, they realized that they conformed and they sold their soul and they overcompensated and they rationalized it in the moment and fooled themselves into thinking that was the right choice because they were scared. They were scared of change. They were scared of people leaving them. And ultimately, at the end, that was a regret because they realized that all that stuff is just made up in your head. Now, the last 5 are 5 that I have included because I feel as though, from my own personal experience and from the experience of most of my clients that I deal with, and my clients are typically between 25 and 40 years old in either relationship or a career transition, or both, because usually one begets the other. And I feel as though these are things that they have dealt with, or they are dealing with, or will deal with in the coming years. Number 6 is, I wish I didn't care so much about stuff that in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. Number 7, I wish I would have learned the incredible power of failure earlier in life. Failure is such an amazing tool for success. And with perfectionists, and if you are, you realize this, failure is almost death. It's certainly a mental, emotional death, and it's something that we measure ourselves up against in regards to our own self-worth. That's why I did everything I could growing up to avoid failure, and subsequently really stunted my growth in like every possible aspect of life. Once I started to embrace the power of failure and being okay with falling down and readjusting. That's the power of failure. It's the most potent, extreme, concentrated learning environment that you can possibly create in your life. And if you can create a plan to where you have micro failures to where it doesn't collapse the entire foundation of your life, then my friend, you've got it made, because that's really the key to everything. Number 8, I wish I would have realized the power I had to change the world for the better sooner. The key is for all of us to understand the level of power that we have and influence that we have every single day with every single person that we deal with. And when we deal with and when we operate from a sense of gratitude and a sense of respect and a sense of kindness and a sense of wanting to help not only myself, but in the process, other people as well, raise the tides to lift all the boats instead of climb over people and try to pummel them as you try to climb the ladder of success. When you do realize this, it's amazing the mind shift that happens. And also the being okay with doing as much as you possibly can without getting the initial acknowledgement back from something that you do. Realize how much power that you have and then do something good with it. Number 9 is, I wish I wouldn't care so much about how to impress other people. When you stop focusing on and thinking about pleasing everybody or doing something for everybody else, you can come into introspection and do the things that create a solid foundation and a higher frequency for yourself, to where you can be more successful and you can be more confident in terms of who you are, because nobody else is you. And I know you've heard that a million times. And once you do that, man, oh man, everything's so much easier, so much more gratitude, so much more joy in life. Because the fact of the matter is that if anybody has judgment and they don't accept you for who you are, then they can go pound sand, because they shouldn't be in your circle and they shouldn't be in your tribe. The number 10 on the list is, I wish I would have been okay about asking for help earlier. It's the same thing as not accepting failure as a huge tool for success. Not asking for help keeps you in your box, and then it makes you bitter, because you look around and you see all these other people that you're thinking, I know more than them, and they're out there crushing it. And the reason being, and the reasons why they're out there crushing it, is because they asked for help. It's because they did their research, and it's because they made connections. It's because they threw themselves out there, because they understood that they don't know everything. And it's not just about them. It's about how they operate and what value they provide in the grand scheme of things and with the other people, and how much they can learn from other people that do the same thing. Richard Feynman, who is one of the fathers of quantum mechanics, which is one of the most brilliant scientists that have ever lived, and he said, it's about relationships, how one thing relates to the other, how one thing benefits the other, how one thing provides more energy to the other. This is how things work. It's about relationships. So the point of all of this is, dance like everyone's watching, because you just don't care. That's it. I hope that makes perfect sense to you. If you have any problems, you can get a hold of me at tony@javabud.com, JAVABUD. You can also, if you're stuck on something and you want to go through this, I am a career counselor and a relationship therapist. We can always talk and move you further along faster. You can reach me at tony@javabud.com. I hope things are good. I will talk to you next week. Be good to yourself and be good to others.